Hello and welcome. This is going to be a sort of new player's guide, but from quite an early time. Like, I haven't really thought this through, so I don't know if I'll call it a new player's guide. I think it might be more of just a thinking out loud sort of thing. From my thoughts on how a new player of this game should build out their tech tree when they start. The important things to get, because there are a few things that I don't have because I was looking into other things and trying things out and having some fun with stuff that just seem to be so strong now that people have started to work things out. So the most important of these things that you want to be looking for, all right, in the end, are the laser rifle and the laser guns, which is down here, and the plasma guns and cannons, which are over here. As you can see, plasma guns ×2 against both types of vehicles, and 1.5 against aircraft and buildings. That's nuts. Stats wise, it just seems super strong. Laser rifles seems like sort of the equivalent of maybe plasma for the early game, because they have a little less against those light infantry, but they have, or the light vehicles, but they have that better amount versus infantry. So early on, when people are going infantry and light vehicles, laser rifles become super strong. The other thing that make them super strong is that you can see this buggy. Laser and armor. This one, missile and armor. And you look at the stats, the laser is just better than the missile for early game, right? Before anyone has unlocked tier 2, this is just 100% better. And it's only tier 1. You can build this laser buggy with armor from out the gates, whereas if you try to build the missile buggy, you can't have armor, and it will be doing less damage to other buggies, so someone who laser buggies you will just absolutely destroy you. So laser buggy, I think, is just a must-have right now. So that is why that is important. And then the plasma is seemingly the strongest sort of late game thing to have. The other thing to look for is, I believe, this, which is healing. So you can give it to an infantry or to a turret, and it will heal vehicles. Can't work on infantry and can't work on buildings. That's super strong. Healing is just great always in these sort of games. Healing is fantastic. Healing will win you games. Healers are great. Basically, in terms of infantry, you'll want to have MGs for the early stage. Right? As you can see, I didn't have healing, so I don't have it. I don't think these lasers are necessary. I'm just trying them out. But you want MG for the early stage. I think you'll want to try and... If you just have the MG as your only tier 1, I think it will give you 3 MGs as your tier 1. And as once the MGs come out, there can only be other MGs. Seems like the best thing to have. Maybe... the laser having a tier 1 will be nice because it has the extra damage versus vehicles, but it will mean you'll lose to someone who has 3 MGs immediately if you're fighting for a tower, and I think that alone makes it bad. And also, you'll only have one of these, and if they start making buggies, you'll probably start making buggies, so you'll both just be making laser buggies anyway. So the infantry kind of become not that important after that. You just want these to be able to win the early fight to, get map control quicker or whatever. Get onto those towers that people like to often fight for. And then late game, the only 2 you'll need, the reason I think this is entirely useless because it's not level 1 having armor and laser and this for some reason. The only thing you want late game, 3 MGs early, only MG tier 1. You'd have the tier 2 anti-material with armor, because this is the best just damage for a late game. Maybe plasma with armor, but I just think this is better because the long range, the sniper aspect of it, so good. And great damage versus everything in the late game, apart from light vehicles, and good damage versus vehicles. The other thing you want is healers. So they're the 3 infantry you want. Healers and anti-mat for late game, MG for early game. So, where do you go? You can see I've done things which were mistakes, like gone for the treads and the walkers, because I was incredibly interested in the changing movement. I think it's one of the things that could have been the most interesting, which turns out to have not been cool, unfortunately. But hey ho, when you start, you'll start with 100 research points, and I would suggest getting this immediately. None of these are things I've said is good, right? But if you look at their stats over the board, they just give you the most all-around you can get early. Just get this. It's one thing. Put this on everything you have, right? You know, you will start with the cannon on your tanks and MG on everything else. So put this on everything you have as a second option, and this will get you through doing all the campaign. Doing all the campaign is a good idea because it will get you a load of points to buy other things. So that, I think, is the best start. There are other things you can do, like you could get that for turrets, but if you want to use turrets, I'd get this, but I'm not like that interested in turrets. This, I believe people have said, the grenade launcher on this is technically better than the rocket launcher. I've heard people say, I have no idea whether it's true, but it doesn't hit air, so I just think, just take this, it's more all around, easier. Then, obviously there are a few other things you can get, like the anti-tank gun to have a late game aircraft weapon, or the artillery if you think artillery is cool and you like that. That's fine, but it's not super important. The important thing is getting this straight away, because that will carry you through all of the campaign. The next thing after you finish the first level of the campaign is to get this improved armor. Like I showed, you can add improved armor to like everything. Before you have lasers, you'll need to have a buggy without improved armor to be your tier 1, but then have another one with improved armor to be your tier 2. Same with infantry. Actually, MG you can have as tier 1 with this, but when you're using the RPG infantry early on, you'll have to, if you want this tier 1, which you don't need, but in story could be helpful, you'll have to have it tier without armor, but you won't need that multiplayer. And then tanks and aircraft you can't make tier 1 anyway, so for the most part, there are a few exceptions, like you see I've done this, but that's just for personal playstyle reasons, like, and you shouldn't have this anyway if you're doing what I'm saying. So just put armor on all of the tanks and aircraft, because you might as well. Then once you have that, you've got the good armor, you've got the good weapons. The one other thing you'll want is up here, the anti-material gun, because like I said, probably the best thing for the infantry. You can get it immediately, really quick. You might, I'm not sure, I can't remember how much they cost. You might have the points to get this as well as this immediately, and just start using the anti-material guys straight away to see how good they are. So the next important things you need to rush for are these things up here. And so there are a few things that you need to unfortunately get that aren't useful. Now the first thing will probably be, well, you have a couple choices, right? Once you've got, I don't know how far you need to get, you might need to take one of the, I think once you've taken this, it will already unlock tier 2, I think. I'm not sure, I can't really remember. So you can go straight for the HQ fusion because that's useful. But then you need to go through all this regenerative armor to get to healing. So that's one of the paths you need to go. You need to get these, go down to healing, right? You need to, yeah, and you want to get these two because they're just good, right? They're probably the best for your thing. I'm not sure, but they're probably the best for your HQ. I haven't decided which one yet, but this one, I get straight away, put it on your HQ. You might as well. You don't have anything on your HQ to start, so get that next thing. Then you have to work towards one of these. I would say the first one I would suggest doing is get Refractive Armor, which is stealth, not important, but that will allow you to get lasers. I think that's the next thing you should do after you've got the power, because that will allow you to get those laser buggies, which is just the most strong thing early game. Absolutely carry you through the early game in games. Done. The next thing is sort of up to your choice. I would probably say the best thing to do would be to do what I haven't done and go straight down these and get healers. But if you're not considering on like really trying, like a hardcore trying with PvP, they might not be necessary and they're maybe a little less fun. So the other option, which I would do as the last thing, but it works either way around, is to get the heavy treaded chassis and the light walker, which is quite expensive. But once you've got them both, you can go up to the even more expensive plasma gun. And once you have this, then you are sort of free to try what you want, to go and get fun stuff. You know, pick up that artillery if you want some artillery, pick up the bombers or whatever down here. You know, pick up flamethrowers, pick up whatever, try some of these cool things. But that is my suggestion of how to start your tech tree if you are starting playing Forge Battalion. Thank you for watching. Like this and share this to anyone if you think it was helpful. If you think it's all drivel and I'm wrong. I haven't played super much, as you can see by how little I have unlocked personally, but when I couldn't play, I watched a lot of people like Just Plain Savage playing. Boy, check him out on Twitch, etc, etc. And I've talked to a lot of good players about like what they think's good, and I think I'm pretty confident that this will at least be a good start. So yeah, thanks for watching.